Hey guys, welcome to video 3. This one is going to be on the Latin American revolutions. Before you watch this video, you should be familiar with the Enlightenment as well as the French Revolution to understand this topic fully. All right, so when we start out, we're going to start off with a discussion of the island of Haiti. All right, if you don't know, Haiti is a small island located in the Caribbean. It means it's like south of Florida. It's a hot area, so on. You should be familiar with Haiti. Really, if you discussed in 9th grade about triangle trade and the use of slave labor, one of the biggest places, slaves were very important to plantation agriculture. Okay, so you should already be familiar with that these are large-scale farms, right, that produced cash crops that were specifically grown for sale. All right, so in Haiti, the big cash crop is sugar. All right, and sugar is a crop that requires a great deal of labor to produce, but it is worth a lot of money. So Haiti is this island where a lot of Africans were forcibly brought over. They were enslaved Africans who were brought over from Africa to work on these sugar plantations, all right? And Haiti, it originally was a French colony, ends up becoming a French colony. Haiti ends up becoming a French colony. Long story short, the island is made up of the white slave owners who had a lot of power. There were the mulattoes who were mixed race, who some of them were also slave owners, some of them owned property. And at the bottom of the kind of social hierarchy are the enslaved Africans and the native people. All right, so there's a lot to this topic, but we're just gonna go very briefly over it. The main thing you need to know is that the ideas of the French Revolution come to the island of Haiti. A lot of the groups are upset. The white landowners are upset because of mercantilism. Most of the profits that the island produces go to make France wealthy and does not stay with the island, does not stay with the people who live in Haiti. So the white slave owners miss out. The mulattoes are second-class citizens in their country. They're unhappy. And naturally, the slaves, they're working so hard. They're basically worked to death, a lot of them. So they're clearly unhappy with what's happening in Haiti. All right, so what ends up happening is Haiti is basically the location of the most effective slave revolt in history. Long story short, the slaves of Haiti end up overthrowing this colonial government, this French government. The troops are led by Toussaint Louverture. He was a former slave. He was self-educated. Actually, no, I think a slave owner actually gave him some education. But long story short, he is able to lead the revolt in Haiti to overthrow the colonial government of Haiti. The slaves end up taking power. In 1798, Haiti wins freedom from France. They allow it to be self-governing. That is actually, it stops though in 1802 when Napoleon takes power. If you remember from our earlier slide, in a coup d'etat, he's going to take power away from the French revolutionary government. Is going to take power from the Directory. So Napoleon attempts to take Haiti back from the slaves that had taken over from the black Haitians. Ends up that he is not able to. He figures, all right, I'm going to get Toussaint Louverture. He tricks Toussaint Louverture into he's able to capture him. And he figures, oh, well, that'll end this revolt. And in fact, the revolt continues. The other people in the armies continue on, and they're able to successfully maintain Haiti's independence. So Haiti becomes an island. They kick out all the whites, and Haiti becomes this island for just black Africans to rule. And that's how it gains its independence. So Toussaint Louverture is a very important figure. All right, that's enough if there's some really basic multiple choice questions, but that's not enough information to write an essay on them. If you want enough information for an essay, you're going to have to take a look at the PowerPoint presentations I have. All right, Okay, so Haiti is one part of this Latin American revolution. The other area of the world where there's revolutions is in South America. South America, there's two parts of South America. Most of South America is made up of Most of South America is made up of Spanish colonies, and then part of South America is Brazil. Brazil is actually a colony of Portugal. All right. So we are going to focus on the parts of Latin America that are controlled by Spain, that are Spanish colonies. All right. And to understand what's going on in the Spanish colonies, the most important thing you have to know is the encomienda system, all right? That's the triangle at the top of this page. The encomienda system is basically set up to produce labor for the colonies, so it keeps native people as well as Africans who had been enslaved and forcibly brought over to these colonies. They were forced to do labor on these large plantations. And the people at the top of the encomienda system are the pensileres, all right? Pensileres are 100% Spanish. That means your mommy and your daddy were both born in Spain. They are of Spanish descent. If you are a pensilere, it means mommy and daddy are both Spanish, and you yourself were born in Spain, all right? And you have the most power in the Spanish colonies. Right under the pensileres are criolles. Criolles are also 100% Spanish. Mommy is from Spain and daddy is from Spain. The only difference is a Criole is born in the colonies, all right? So there's very little, the only difference between a pensilere and a Criole is where you are born. If you are a Criole, you are very rich, you're powerful, but you're still a second-class citizen because most of the government jobs are held by pensileres. They have the most political power. And then below them are the mestizos, the mulattoes. Those are mixed-race people. And then beneath them are the Africans and the natives. All right. So in the Latin American revolutions, unlike Haiti, this revolution is going to be led by the Criolles. All right, so I might be surprised. These are the rich people. Why are they so upset? Well, the Criolles are upset because, as I said, these are very wealthy people of Spanish descent. And these wealthy people, very often the Criolles had enough money. They would send their kids to Europe to study and then come back home to the Spanish colonies. And while these Criolles were studying abroad in Europe, they learned about the ideas of the Enlightenment. And they learned about the American Revolution, they learned about the French Revolution, and they said, wait a second, why are we, as Criolles, treated as second-class citizens in our own country? And so they start getting they get unhappy with their status in the country. Even though they're rich, even though they're near the top, they're still not in control of their own government. So what happens is there's some discussion, these Enlightenment ideas start getting discussed in the Spanish colonies. But the real turning point is due to Napoleon. You see, again, the Criolles consider themselves Spanish. They consider themselves, subjects of the Spanish king and queen. But if you remember, when we studied Napoleon, one of the things Napoleon does is, when he takes over all of Europe, one of the things he does is he would put his family members on the throne. So he put one of his brothers on the throne of Spain. He dethroned the king and queen of Spain and put his brother in charge. So now these Criolles, they weren't comfortable, overthrowing the king and queen of Spain, but Napoleon's brother, they feel no tie to this person. They feel no loyalty to this person. So it's much easier. It kind of opens the door to a much freer discussion of revolution inside the colonies. And this is what ends up happening. The Criolles start discussing revolution. They start getting buy-in. And they start to revolt. So even after Napoleon is overthrown and the Spanish king is restored to the throne, it's too late. This movement to revolt and to get independence from Spain had gone too far. All right. The big leader of these revolutions, the most important key figure is Simón Bolívar. Simón Bolívar is focused on the northern parts of South America. Again, this is Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, so on and so forth. San Martin, Jose de San Martin. San Martin is from the southern part of Latin America. He is going to focus in Argentina and Chile. And the armies of Bolivar and San Martin are going to meet up. San Martin basically defers to Simón Bolivar. He gives Simón Bolivar command of the combined forces. And in this way, Simón Bolivar is able to gain independence for all of the Spanish colonies. All right? After they gain independence, Spain they gain independence from Spain. Simón Bolivar wants to see what he calls Gran Colombia. He wants a unified country, similar in idea to what we have in the United States, where we have separate states that form a federal government. He wants to see something similar in Latin America and in South America. He is unsuccessful, however. Most historians point to the geographic barriers. You have to remember, in Latin America, you have the Amazon River, you have the Andes Mountains. It's just a very challenging geography, and this geography does not allow for unification. So Gran Colombia is a failure. It does not happen. All right, but they are able to gain independence. This is going to take 2 seconds. This is Brazil. Remember what I told you before? Most of South America is under the control of the Spanish. Brazil is not. Brazil is actually a Portuguese colony. So it is a colony of Portugal. Long story short, what happens is the king and queen of Portugal are sitting in their thrones. Napoleon is conquering all of Europe. The king and queen of Portugal know that it's not safe for them to stay in Europe, so they travel to Brazil, and they make Brazil this becomes where the king and queen are going to stay. This becomes the center of their empire. So they're spending time in Brazil. Once Napoleon is defeated, however, the king and queen plan to travel back to Portugal. The people of Brazil, they like being the seat of power. They like being the center of things. So they go to the sun and the Prince Dom Pedro. And they say, Dom Pedro, could you please, we would like to be independent. We'd like you to be in charge. What do you think? Dom Pedro talks to his dad. Dad's like, hey, no problem. It's yours. And long story short, that's it. Brazil ends up becoming an independent country under the rule of Dom Pedro. And it's a bloodless revolution. There's no fighting. It just leaves the empire and becomes independent. So that's pretty quick. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this unit is Mexico. Again, Mexico, like I was talking before in South America, Mexico is also a Spanish colony. All right. Now, as opposed to South America, Mexico is a little bit different. The independence movement in Mexico actually starts with this guy, Father Hidalgo. All right. Grito de Dolores, that's what this picture is, a very famous painting. And Grito de Dolores is like scream of pain. And the idea is that Father Hidalgo represents the people who are lowest in the encomienda system, the natives and the slaves. I'm going to go back to that earlier slide. Remember this, if you look at the triangle at the top, this encomienda system, Father Hidalgo is focused on the people at the bottom, all right? And he wants to represent the native people. And so they start this revolt. What ends up happening is Father Hidalgo, he's actually a religious figure, not a great military leader, unlike the Creoles of Latin America who had military training. Father Hidalgo does not. And his revolt of the native people, the big impact of his revolt is it makes the people at the top of the triangle, the mestizos, the mulattoes, and the Creoles, these groups band together because they say, look, if these natives take over, we're going to get killed. We're going to be dead meat. We should work together. And that's what ends up happening. Mexico is able to gain independence from Spain, but the social class system, and this is something we see throughout Latin America, the social class system really doesn't change that much. The pensileres are out, but the Creoles, the landowning, the wealthy landowners, maintain power and control. All right? So the wealthy landowners and the Catholic Church stay in control. They stay powerful. The natives, the enslaved people, they stay at the bottom of the social system. They stay poor. And so we see in Mexico in the 1800s, Mexico is going to gain independence from Spain, but society-wise, the social classes really don't change that much. Ends up being under the control, instead of being under the control of Spain, it ends up being under the control of a series of dictators, and power is held by the landowners as well as the Catholic Church. And this is going to continue into the 1800s. It's not until the 1900s, where we see 1910, when the Mexican Revolution happens, this is where the lower classes start to become empowered. This is where you're going to see a social change in society. And this Mexican Revolution is led by Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa. These are the revolutionaries who are going to overthrow the dictators. They're going to overthrow this kind of the ruling classes, the landowners and the church, and they're going to introduce reforms. And that's what we get in 1917 with the Mexican Constitution, social reform. So this is, when you see land reform, that means land is taken away from the rich and is distributed among the peasants. They're opening schools. They weaken the power of the Catholic Church. Again, this kind of foreign-owned government businesses, they're going to be nationalized. They're going to be taken over. The more wealth is going to be distributed to the poor, and Mexico starts to gain, more of its own culture. All right. So with that, we are done with the Latin American revolutions. Just as a quick review, remember, the first time people start questioning how things are run is really during the scientific revolution. That's what that first picture represents. They start questioning how this kind of science and the laws of how nature and things work. The scientific revolution leads to an enlightenment. See the picture? Bing! New enlightenment, new ideas. So people start questioning how governments are run, the roles of different people in society, how society is divided up. And that's where we get the Enlightenment. These ideas, these Enlightenment ideas, inspire the American Revolution. The Enlightenment and the American Revolution end up inspiring the French Revolution. And the ideas of the Enlightenment, the success of the American Revolution, the success of the French Revolution, inspire revolutions in Latin America. So that includes South America, Mexico, and Haiti. All right, and with that, we are done with this video. Thanks so much for watching.